I'm here at the Aria in Las Vegas, and I want to tell you the craziest story that's ever happened to me here. So basically, one time I went to Jewel nightclub, which is the nightclub straight down that way. And when I was there, it's kind of like a bit of a ratchet nightclub. It's one of the ones that's only open on Mondays, or at least that's the only day people go to it, because every other day of the week there's better nightclubs to go to. But anyhow, I found myself going to it. It's one of my first times ever there. I just wanted to check it out. And this is a story about how that led to a crazy adventure with three other women that led to 4 women. So long and short of it is, it's a pretty empty night at the Jewel nightclub. And I end up talking to some girls in the club. It's kind of dark and no one's biting, no one wants to talk, or at least there really isn't much. I end up talking to these 3 girls just dancing there. And this was like the last set of girls. And I was literally like, okay, I'm gonna talk to them and go home. There's nothing to do there. So I'll go ahead and talk to them. And for whatever reason, one of them seems to be very friendly to me. And I think it was because I was Asian and she was half Asian. So she felt somehow compelled by her, the fact that I was Asian. But it was probably also because she was on Molly or something. I asked some people here who are familiar with Vegas, and yeah, some of them are just on something else. And I think she was a bit off in that way. Anyhow, so long and short of it, they end up including me in their group and dancing with them, and then bringing me to the dance floor and then saying, okay, now we're going to leave the club, come with me. And then right before they left the club, they were like, let's go to the bathroom, you wait outside. And then I was like, okay, that was just their way of ditching me. So I started walking off, but sure enough, as soon as they got out of the bathroom, one of them found me and then pulled me and said, why didn't you wait at the bathroom? So I was part of their friend group, which I thought was pretty cool. And I remember being on the dance floor and seeing other guys, maybe 1 or 2 guys every 10 to 20 minutes come up, try and chat them up, try and befriend them, try and bring them into their own circle. But the 4 of us stayed locked into the circle. I don't know what it was, but they thought I was friendly enough and, I don't know, safe enough to be around. And so this is a long story, so I'm going to keep it short. I'm giving you the story because I'm literally in the Aria where it all happened. Now, on the way out of the nightclub, they weren't sure where to go next, and I was like, let's go to Marquee After Hours, because that's another nightclub that's open late. And so we're right out of the nightclub, we're walking up the escalator, which is literally right down there, up to this floor, and I didn't even get 10 seconds before a group of 5 or 6 men, these were, young men, fairly well dressed. They got the chains, they got the backwards cap. They start macking on the girls I'm with. Now, these girls don't belong to me, so I didn't know what to do. I'm not really good with charisma or conversation, especially back then. This was over a year ago. So then they're macking on them for 5-10 minutes, and then it seems like the girls are biting. They're like, what you got? What you have to offer? And they were basically seemingly pitching, oh, we got this really nice penthouse, it's in the same hotel, come check it out. I wasn't really I couldn't pay too much attention to it because they're talking amongst themselves. One man to each girl, and they were macking on them really good, spinning some crazy game. And some of them were getting pretty physical and showing their intent and touching, looking at them, which is a high risk move. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you get blown out quickly. So they were, at least 1 or 2 of them were into it. But it was one of their birthdays, and the girl that was most into it, she basically turned to the birthday girl and was like, whatever she wants to do. So then she was kind of like iffy, and then eventually she was like, yeah, let's go. So she really wasn't that iffy. And they literally walked down this hallway, and I was there with them because I was like, I don't know, none of them's kicking me out. None of them's telling me I can't go. Let's see where this adventure leads. So from there, they walked down this hallway here on my right. And they really didn't go far. Like, talk about good logistics. These men were literally down this hallway here. And so they came down this hallway, and then there's literally like elevator right over there, and it was literally like, you know, the three girls dressed in heels and dresses, and they were not stunners. They were like, you know, average. One was above average, but my mind was kind of blown. Like, I can't even believe this is possible, because it's that they'd even consider going up here. And they went down this way, and I'm literally retelling the story as it happens. And they went down up this elevator, and I went up with them. And what ended up happening was we went to their hotels, and I was talking to some of the guys while we went, and they were actually fairly friendly to me. They weren't like, you know, fuck off, bro. Maybe they should have, I don't know, but I was glad they were friendly. And you know, they were just telling me how it was their one night in Vegas. They literally basically piled some money together. I think it was 4 of them or 5 of them. They piled some money together, and they just went all in to share like a hotel bedroom with, like, I don't know, 2 beds or something. And then it was their one night. And so, you know, they're here to just, you know, explore Vegas. So long and short of it is we went to their hotel room, and I'm like, what is going on here? There's no way anything's gonna happen. And so they literally go to the room, and then they're just talking. You know, there's some alcohol, the drinks, and they're just sitting there on the couch, on the table, talking. And none of them are being too aggressive or anything. They're just talking. I think one of them eventually like goes to the bedroom, but then she immediately like leaves shortly after, or she's in there just talking briefly and then walks back out. And they're just like talking on the table and all this stuff. And I didn't notice it at the time, but the energy changed slightly. There was some energy shift in the air, and I didn't sense it, but it existed. And so what ended up happening was, in that hotel, they talked for like 10-15 minutes. I was just there, you know, chilling, you know, not really even sure why I was there, talking to some of the girls. And one of them eventually comes up and whispers in my ear, hey, I'm not feeling it with any of these guys. I trust you more than anyone else here. The plan is for us all to leave in 10 minutes on the dot. So I'm like, okay. And then they eventually, on the dot, they all leave. One of the girls is a bit more, I guess, wasted or something, or high, I can't tell. And she gets her boots on because she had taken off her socks and boots. So she was kind of, it was hard for her to like snap out of it. The other girls were like, snap out of it, we're leaving. And so they all left. And then they went back down to the lobby right over there. And that's when the guys started getting more physically aggressive. I guess they were getting desperate or something. So they're like wrapping their arms around the girls when they're already on the lobby floor in public, and like, I guess, trying to convince them to go back. But at that point, they had missed whatever opportunity they had, and just like, now they were kind of being desperate. So of course, the girls didn't change their minds, and it took a while to untangle them. I think it was another 10-15 minutes of that, and then they all decided to gamble. Some of them went immediately to the slot machines and started gambling. Some of the girls meandered around and ended up joining the guys as well, and so they were looking at the slots. And at that point I was like, dude, I'm ready to go home, but I'm curious where this adventure leads. Where does it continue? So I ended up staying just to see what the heck's gonna happen next. And so what happened next was essentially they gambled for like 10-15 minutes, and then the girls went back to me and they were just like, what should we do next? And I said, let's continue with the original plan, go to Marquee after hours. So they were like, yeah. And one of the guys, you know, like almost like as a last ditch shot at me or something, or, you know, not really a shot at me, but just like, you know, thinking that maybe I had the upper hand. He was like, oh, I bet you're gonna screw all of them. He didn't say the word screw, he used a more vulgar phrase. Oh, I bet you're gonna screw all of them. And I just told him like, dude, no, I'm literally just trying to make sure they're safe and they get to this next event, and then I'll probably peace out. So then we finally untangle, and then right when we're about to leave for this other place, this one new woman, she's this blonde woman who's just walking through late in the morning, I don't know why. They bump into her and they both have the same tattoo. It's like a little flower on their wrist. And so, you know, this is like kind of like herding cats. There's like ADHD, you know, so now they're like chatting it up, freaking out that they had the same tattoo. And then they're like, girl, where are you going? Oh, I'm just, you know, walking around. Oh, girl, come with us. We're going to Marquee or whatnot. And so then we're all walking to Marquee, which actually, there's actually a walk path that way through the front of the casino, down a sidewalk into Cosmopolitan, and that's where Marquee is. And I only found that out that day because I had to lead them there, but I had never been there myself. So I was asking for directions, people were pointing the way, and that's how I found my way. You could literally walk there from this casino. By the way, that is Catch. It is one of the most famous exclusive luxury restaurants in Vegas. It's interesting. There's a lot of really fancy parts to the area, and then some a bit more less fancy, a bit ratchet stuff, but there's some really fancy stuff. I literally just walked past Javier's, which is another very ritzy type of restaurant here in Vegas. So anyhow, that's the heat of the story, the big things. But then I do want to just wrap it up and tell you some of the final things that happened. So we go to Marquee after hours, which is essentially like a mini nightclub. It's kind of like more of like a nightclub with that turns into a lounge. So it's not as big a nightclub, but it's like the only after hours thing open. We go there, they dance in a circle on the dance floor for a while. Every 5 to 10 minutes, a guy hits on them. They push him away. Now the girl who's a bit, you know, wild, who may have taken something, every like 15 minutes, I think she did this like 2 or 3 times that night while we're there. Some random guy, usually wasn't like a handsome guy either, some random guy comes up to her and you know, talks to her and then pulls her away and then makes out with her, and then they're making out hard. And so I tell the other girls, wow, this guy, or she must really like this guy. And each time they would tell me back, no, not really. She just likes to do that. She'll be back soon, trust me. And sure enough, each time after she got her make out, after she had like a little make out or whatnot, she came back to our circle where everyone was just dancing again. And for some magical reason, I was in the in group. And I wish I could replicate that more often, where women were less cold. But you know, I just got lucky, I guess. They found me cool enough. It doesn't happen often. And basically, I was in that group where I saw other guys approach and they got pushed off. And I think it's a really interesting thing, because the question is not just why me, but also, isn't it interesting seeing the women's perspective? And when you do get rejected or pushed off or whatnot, you got to realize how often they get approached at these venues, when oftentimes they did not go there to meet men, but you know, they have to deal with the hassle of being approached a lot. And so you can't even take it that personally a lot of the times, because you know, they don't even know you. They're making a judgment off a quick snap judgment of you, and then they say goodbye because you're like the seventh guy who approached them. So I felt it was really cool. And then eventually they went out to the balcony. They had some stuff in their pockets, and then they went to the bathroom and they just enjoyed themselves essentially. And then I was just there, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm ready to go home. This is getting lame to me. Like, what is even going on here? Just because like it seemed like a lot of, what's the word? It seemed like a lot of, you know, just partying. That's what they wanted to do. These women, they like attention from the makeouts, and they like just dancing together, having a good time through dancing and so forth. So that was about it. I think eventually they got tired of, after the bathroom, they got tired of the club, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm ready to go to sleep. What a interesting adventure, but not necessarily something I was like super thrilled about. I'm like, gosh, I'm kind of done with dancing to random music. But for them, it was a big deal. And it's always a lesson in how I can take life more seriously and have more fun. For them, that was their sister's birthday. They had come out to Vegas, have a good time. And sometimes, you know, I'll go to these parties or events or clubs or whatnot, and I'm not having a good time or taking it too seriously. And it's really just about enjoying the journey, having fun. Yeah, I mean, I heard a bit here and there about their life throughout. And even though it's been over a year, I still remember specs of it. And the point is, I mean, I don't think any of them lived a exceptionally luxury, incredible life. They had their hardships. Seems like they grew up in a rough area, an area riddled with like drugs and stuff. And it was tough on them, but they seemed to get through it. They were pretty upbeat despite telling that story. And I think at least two of them had kids. And one of them, who was white, her former ex-husband was Asian. And two of them used to work in Vegas as, I don't know, as dealers or something. But a very interesting story. And, you know, it also kind of humanizes them, because in these clubs, you know, you think they're so incredible or they're amazing people, but really they're just everyday people. You know, when you see an attractive woman, you're like, oh my gosh, she's perfect, she has her life together and so forth. But really, they could be just, you know, floundering or trying to figure it out, or just working as a cards dealer and supporting kids at the same time. So when I heard that, I couldn't help but feel like I was felt bad for them in a way. Like I had a much better job. I didn't have kids or family to support, or a partner who probably isn't supporting the kids. So, not to get somber or serious, point is, they were having an upbeat time throughout, and I'm glad I was able to be part of it. They were cheering, dancing throughout, and even towards the end when we decided to call it quits, they were pretty upbeat and happy for their night out, celebrating their sister's birthday. And so what ended up happening was they literally just decided to close up shop, and I was ready. I was like, let's just go home. See you guys later. Do you need me to walk you to, wherever you parked or whatnot, or can I just go home myself? And at first they were like ready to go home, and I was like, okay, great. But then they were like, no, you were so protective of us and you made sure we were safe that we want to make sure you're safe and get you home to your car. So they walked me all the way to my car in the parking garage, and it was literally the car that it was literally the car that was all the way back. Hi. I'm doing a vlog.
Oh, really?
You want to be in it?
Thank you.
So it was literally the car that was like all the way back in the parking garage. It's actually a long walk from this casino to the parking garage, because you have to take like an escalator and then a hallway. But they were very nice to bring me to that car, and that was about it. I said goodbye to them once I got to the car, and then I went home. Now, some of you may be thinking or maybe asking, who was those people I just talked to? Or, wow, you could have pulled off a foursome or fivesome with these girls, or some crazy thing like that. I don't think so, no. I think they were just there to have a good time with their sisters. Maybe they were a little inclined to it at one point, but then things just changed a bit when they basically didn't feel the vibe or the energy anymore with the people that they went to that penthouse with. But I don't think so. I think they were just there to have a good party with their sisters, and then they went home, and that was it. As far as the blonde girl that they met later, we parted ways as well. She left like before the girls left, because we left at the end, but she just went to her parking garage or whatever. And for me, it was more about like the three girls. They went with me to the parking garage and were nice enough to bring me back to that place. But other than that, the blonde girl, she took off after we left Marquis. So why do I bring up this story? What's the point? I mean, first off, it was entertaining. It's probably one of my most interesting Vegas stories to tell. Sure, it wasn't as wild or crazy as maybe you would have liked, but I got you watching for a long time. Haha. If you're still watching, I would say most people probably clicked off by now. But another big thing is, I think it's just a story about what it's actually like in Vegas. And I would say for the average guy, if their metric is like picking up girls or anything like that, I think it's probably pretty terrible most nights. But if your metric for enjoying Vegas is hitting up the casinos, exploring, traveling, dancing on the dance floor at a nightclub, enjoying life, hey, it's always a good time. You can't go wrong. There's plenty of people doing that all the time here. This is literally the escalator we went down, and then yeah, we had to go through this whole hallway, through this whole walkway, which is a long walk, and they were nice enough to take me there and do that stuff. And yeah, I think I don't know, it just came to be a situation where I was essentially the guy who was safe. Maybe the friendly guy, the nice guy, I don't know. Whatever the reason is, they chose to make me part of their friend circle that night. And I was one of the girls. And I actually found that to be a really cool experience, because always better to be in the in crowd and, you know, that guy with all the girls, even if they're just your friends, because you have that pre-selection, versus the guy who's kind of off on his own, or just like hitting up these girls and getting rejected left and right. And yeah, that's basically the story. No, I don't think anything would have happened. Perhaps I could have invited them back to my penthouse, but you know, hindsight's 2020, and it's not really a penthouse if you didn't get my joke. It would have just been the place I was staying. But I doubt it. I doubt anything really would have happened, but it would have been cool to go back in time and try and see what happens. But that's essentially the story. Never saw them again. I think some of them, a couple of them are still, I still have a loose connection through social media, but you know, they're off doing their own things, raising their kids now, and I wish them the best. And I think, yeah, one of them, I don't know how much she was talking reality or exaggerating, but she was like saying how she owned a hotel penthouse floor or something similar, and how the guys who were talking all this stuff and bragging to them, she was just not impressed by it. And this was the most attractive one, and she was basically saying how, giving me insider tips, you know. There was a couple times where, while we were walking to Marquee or whatnot, I got to ask questions. And that's another benefit to having female friends. I got to ask questions that taught me what worked and what didn't. And I was asking them, I can't remember what I asked, but I was asking them questions about, why didn't you like this guy? What did you like about this guy? What attracted you? And then what turned you off? And all I can remember is them saying that it was a turnoff when they got very physical and aggressive when they went back to the lobby floor, trying to turn things around. So, as you can see, it is a bit of a maze in here, but this is the way I usually go to the parking garage. I know it seems complicated, but once you've been in here a few times, you get the lay of the land. So that was another little tidbit of the story where, you know, because you have these female friends, they will tell you these tips and advice that you didn't hear anywhere else. Now, I think I would want to rather condense that to one night, have the ability to have enduring female friends where I can go out and see them again. And through that, you know, really get to know them, really get to know their advice. And then you also get the pre-selection from that. When women see you with other women and they know you're with them, you become more attractive because you're more trustworthy, you're more attractive, other girls seem to like you. It's it's a heuristic. The people skip a lot of steps because other women have already screened you out for all those things. So, with all that being said, that's my story.